Welcome to Ground Control and another episode of the Pilot's Lounge. I know it's been months since I produced one of these videos, and I wanted to hold off until I could get caught up on the vast majority of my projects. And I'm pretty much there. I still have some motor and prop testing to do that I wanted to get completed before the next episode, but I thought, I've got enough information to release now that I thought it was appropriate to go ahead and come out with another one of these videos. So I've got my notes here, and first of all I wanted to thank our new patrons. We picked up some new patrons in the latter part of 2019. Thank you so much for becoming patrons of the channel. That means a lot. It helps us to buy additional components to do special projects and stuff with. It is greatly appreciated, and of course thank you all of our existing patrons that have been with us. So that means a lot. I can't tell you how much that means for us. But YouTube subscribers, thank you guys for subscribing to our channel, for commenting on our videos, for liking the videos that we put out. Thank you for following us on Facebook, for commenting on our Facebook post and liking our Facebook post. That also, helps draw attention to Ground Control RC, so that is much appreciated. I want to thank all of you who have used our affiliate links for buying products. When you buy products from Banggood or one of our other vendors that we have affiliate accounts with, that helps us buy and review products and components and do modifications and special projects. So every little bit helps us out tremendously, and it allows us to do things during the year that we wouldn't otherwise be able to do. So thank you very much for that. I have started posting on the YouTube channel community tab to try and let you guys know what's going on, what's coming up for release. I have posted aircraft plans there for download for subscribers of the YouTube channel. I wanted to let you know that if you comment on a post on the community tab and you don't get a response, don't think that I'm ignoring your comment, because I'm not. The problem is that the community tab, I like the concept, but it's kind of half-baked. YouTube didn't seem to want to put a lot of effort into it. And so when somebody comments on a post on the community tab or provides a thumbs up on the post, I do not get notified of that. So I try to check back periodically to see if anyone has commented, so that I can respond to it, but I don't always catch those, especially if it's an older post. I probably won't catch it. So just so you know, it's not because we're ignoring your comment, it's because we don't know about it. So maybe in the future YouTube will actually do something about that, but I'm not going to hold my breath, Okay, I produced a video late in 2019 to let you guys know what our release schedule is. Now recently I've had a lot of projects going on, so I have released a lot of videos, but our release schedule going forward is releasing a video on the YouTube channel on Tuesdays and Fridays. That's our goal. And releasing a video on Patreon on Sundays. And we're going to stick to that unless we kind of get backed up with projects and we have a lot of material to release, like the recent reviews that we just did. I kind of released videos bang, 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 because I had a lot of material that was ready to go and I wanted to get these reviews completed. So just so you know, in the future, that's not going to be a normal occurrence. It'll happen from time to time where we have more than a couple of videos released per week, but that's not going to be normal for us. We want to spend more time working on projects and doing mods and designing new airframes and new aircraft rather than producing videos, and so that's why we cut back on that schedule. All right, I got a post from Adams Tubing regarding the Volantex Mini Train Star, which is probably my all-time favorite trainer airplane. And the only downside to that aircraft was there weren't any spare parts available. Well, he provided me with a link to the spare parts for the Volantex Mini Train Star. And I think what's confusing about that aircraft is Volantex couldn't make up their mind what they wanted to call it. Because when mine actually has stenciled on the wing, says Mini Train Star, but then they also refer to it as the First Star. Now I know they have a plane called the First Star, which is a larger plane, so be aware of that when you're doing a search for the First Star. Make sure that you have the small, I think it's like a 420 millimeter wingspan plane. But I will have a link to that parts page on Banggood for the Volantex Mini Train Star, and I want to thank Adams Tubing for providing that link. So all the parts are there. If you have one of these planes, or you're thinking of getting one of these planes, or you've held off on the plane because there wasn't any spare parts, well, there are spare parts, and there's a link to it. So these two planes, I just completed reviews of these two planes. These were sent to me courtesy of Banggood, and this is the Eachine Mini F-22 park jet. I think both these planes use the same electronics as far as gyro and receiver. They're ready to fly planes, and then the Mini P-51D Mustang. Okay, so I have completed reviews on both of these. One of the things that I thought was wrong with this plane was that the elevator was a little too sensitive in manual mode. Well, I was able to bend out the Z-bend on the control rod for the elevator and move it from the center hole in the control horn to the bottom hole in the control horn without breaking it. I was lucky, and then I took out and test flew it, and that really toned down the elevator on this plane and makes it much easier to fly in manual mode. And I am just having a blast with this plane, flying it in manual mode, and it's a blast in the gyro too. It's a really good beginner plane. And then putting it in manual mode, if you're an intermediate level pilot or an advanced pilot, putting it in manual mode, you're going to have a blast with it, especially if you move that control rod down and tone that elevator down a little bit. But I'm having a blast with this, and I highly recommend this plane. I think it's durable as all can be. I mean, I have a blast with it. The F-22 Mini from Eachine. It flies really well in gyro mode. It's pretty fast, so you want to be aware of that as a beginner. It's very easy to fly in gyro mode for a beginner. The gyro system is extremely stable, but you can fly it slowly. Let me put it that way. It's capable of some pretty fast speed for a little 1S F-22, but you can fly it pretty slowly too. So this is something to keep in mind for a beginner. In manual mode, the elevator is just too darn sensitive. I think even for someone who has intermediate level flight skills, which is where I consider myself, and it was just very touchy. It took me a few flights to get used to the sensitivity on the elevator, but I still think it's even though I got used to it, it's too sensitive of an elevator. I've got a couple of modifications going on this right now. I haven't had a chance to take it out and do the test flight on it yet. But if I come up with a process for toning down the elevator on this where it's much better behaved in manual mode, then I will post a show and tell tutorial on exactly how I did that. So this one I think is ready to go. This one's going to require a mod or two to get it to fly the way I would like it to fly in manual mode. I mean, it's a great beginner park jet, but it does have some issues in manual mode. Okay, next I want to talk about the Minimum RC F8F Rare Bear, and it's a 4-channel, extremely lightweight microplane. You might even consider it a nano plane. It flies very well outside in moderate wind, and I think indoors, if you have an indoor arena to fly in, a gymnasium or something, I think it would make an excellent indoor plane. I've been testing this, removing the stock motor, which was an 8520 8.5 by 20 millimeter motor, and I replaced it with a 1020 coreless motor. And I was testing it with the 3-inch prop that came with the 1020 motor, and I felt like it was an improvement, but just didn't provide as much thrust as I would like. And then I took a look at their stock prop, and it looked like it's another 3-inch prop, and it looked like it had more aggressive pitch than the prop that came with the 1020 motor. So I honed this out a little bit so it would fit on the 1.2 millimeter shaft on the 10 millimeter motor, and took it out and flew it, and I was surprised. It did actually provide quite a bit more thrust. And now this plane has enough power for, complete aerobatics. I mean, I was doing stall turns with it, and I was doing loops, and of course it's really good at doing rolls. And I think that it weighs less than 39 grams all up weight. And I had a heavier battery in it than what they recommended. They recommended, I think, a 150 milliamp battery, and the smallest one that I had was a 250. So I was real happy with the way this performed with a little more torquey motor. I think it was able to spin the prop a little bit faster than the 8520 motor was. So I am completely happy with the way this thing is flying now, and it has a sufficient amount of power. I'm going to take it back out with a little all-in-one FPV camera on it and see if it can carry around that FPV camera. I think that would be a lot of fun, especially indoors, if it could carry a micro FPV camera. And Minimum RC just sent me 2 more kits to put together and review, and one is the B25 Mitchell, and this has a dual motor setup on it. So this is probably going to be the next one that I build. This is going to be the next project that I work on. And then they also sent me the Spitfire, which I think is a lot like the F8F Rare Bear, a single motor. I think it's a 4-channel plane. So first I'm going to build the Mitchell, because I've never flown a plane with dual motors on it before. I think that's going to be fun. And then I will work on the Spitfire. So stay tuned for those. I'm hoping that I will be able to set aside time to build those and take them out and do the maiden flights on these in the next couple of weeks, maybe one of them a week from now. So, provided I don't have gale force winds. So stay tuned for that. And then one of the last things I want to talk about, and the Minimum RC Rare Bear. I'll have links in the show notes to this prop. You might be interested in this prop for your own projects on down the road too, with the 1020 motor. I really like this prop a lot, and I'm going to be ordering more of them to test on other motors as well. So there'll be links to those in the show notes. Glue and Fly Series. This was a project I hadn't planned on taking on, but I just wanted to see about building a Nano park jet. A Nano plane in general, but a Nano park jet. And I designed this, or actually scaled down and modified the plans from my Glue and Fly Series F22 Micro version 2. And no one is more surprised than me that this plane actually flew on its maiden flight. Now, it had some issues. It didn't fly all that great on the maiden flight, but test flight number 2 and test flight number 3, it really shined, and I was so darn surprised that my first attempt at a Nano park jet actually flew. And then by the 3rd flight, it was flying extremely well. And it's brushless. I'm just amazed at the weight. It's 27.6 grams all up weight. Once again, I have a battery that's not small enough for this plane. It's a 250 milliamp LiPo. It's the same one I use in the Rare Bear. I wish I had something, a little stick battery between 150 to 200 milliamp LiPo. So I'm going to have to see about purchasing a couple of those to test in this plane, so it has a little lighter wing loading. Now, I've watched test flights 2 and test flights 3 over and over and over again. And on test flight 3, after watching it several times, I still felt like the plane looked slightly nose heavy. And then I went back and looked at test flight 2, and I watched it over and over, and it seemed like it was just ever so slightly tail heavy. So I think if I can split the difference from where I had the CG located for test flights 3 and test flights 2, I think that's going to be exactly where the CG needs to be. So I haven't released the plans for this yet because I just haven't had the weather to go out and test fly it again. But I want to go out and test fly this for another flight session and test it with the CG slightly further back from where I had it in test flight 2 or test flight 3, and slightly forward of where I had it in test flight 2. And I think that is going to be the magic location for the CG. And I think that is also going to provide much better slow flight capability on this airframe. I never would have dreamed that, you know, doing silly things like taking paper clips and straightening them out and using them for the control rods on the control surfaces was ever going to, I never thought this thing was going to fly. And so I'm extremely happy with it. I'm not going to have to put nearly as much time into having a very well performing Nano park jet as I thought I was going to. So once I get caught up on my reviews, once I get the CG perfected on this plane, I will release the plans as they are, because it's already a very nice flying park jet. I think once I get the CG pushed a little bit further back, the slow flight capability is going to be much better. And then the changes that I'm going to make to the airframe, I'm going to release as a version 2 for patrons. So that's where we are on this project. You guys will see the plans first, and then once I update the plans to do test flights for the version 2, I'll release those on Patreon. There are also links in the show notes, because we released our micro F-22 version 1, revision 1 plans and associated documents to YouTube subscribers, as well as the F-22 mini version 2 revision 1 for YouTube subscribers. So links to those plans and associated documents will be in the show notes on this video. So if you guys want to build and fly one of those park jets, they're fairly inexpensive. We use budget parts on all those park jets, and if you've watched any of the videos, you see how well they fly. And it's actually a lot less expensive to build one of these and get it ready to fly than it is buying a factory plane. So check those out. If you've never built a plane before, they're not difficult. E3 Scott was instrumental in the development and testing of the version 3 of our mini F-22 park jet. He also did a very detailed build video of the version 3. So if I provided links to his park jet blog, his build log of the version 3 F-22 park jet of ours, as well as his YouTube channel. So if you follow his tutorial, you'll be able to build any of our current plans on our park jets. So you've got instructions, you got plans, you got documentation. Go buy the electronics and get it up in the air. So I think that gets us all caught up. I hope you guys appreciate the information in the video. Thank you guys again for subscribing, for following us on YouTube, and especially to those of you who have become patrons of the site. Stay tuned for all the work that I'm going to be doing on this stuff. I'll be posting the results. So thank you. Please give a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the air.